I took one of the most famous overnight trains in Europe, the Österreichische Bundesbahnen Nightjet, a long-distance passenger train that offers 2 travel options that include a bed and one much cheaper option that does not include a bed. I will review my Berlin to Vienna 15 hours overnight journey in the seating carriage. I bought my ticket less than 2 weeks in advance and paid about 60 euros for it. But the starting price for this stretch in the seating carriage is 29 euros. So if you can, book in advance. The seats are numbered and you will receive one in one of these cabins. Let's go straight to the most important point. How are you going to sleep? You will not necessarily sleep while seated. If you're lucky enough, you'll be able to unfold your seat and the one in front of you to form a nice continuous surface. Mind that the seats do not unfold completely. The edges will still be slightly lifted. To some people, this might be uncomfortable, but it was not for me. Of course, there is no bedding included, so you'll need to take care of your pillow and blanket if you need any, and a cloth to cover the surface if that's an issue for you. The seats I found were decent, but not the cleanest, and the covering not super soft, so I wish I had a piece of cotton fabric just to protect my face from rubbing and from grime. When you book, you can choose to sit at the window. That's what I did because to me it's absolutely wonderful to sit for hours and hours at these huge, beautiful windows and stare at the landscape while the train moves across lands and countries. Nonetheless, while sleeping, there are 2 downsides to the window seat. In the unfolded seat position, some of the width is taken away by the garbage bin area. I'm 1 meter 83 centimeters or 6 foot tall, and it didn't seem to be a problem for me, but it might be if you're taller or bigger. Second, you'll not be as free to go out of the cabin if you need to go to the bathroom, for example, because you'll need to pass other passengers that might be asleep in order to access the door. This also has not been a problem for me, to be honest. I planned in advance. Around 9 p.m., I made sure to start drinking enough water for the night to hydrate myself so that I would have enough time to then go release myself before bedtime. Very easy. So the ideal sleeping situation in the seating carriage is if there are not more than 3 people in each cabin. This way, all 3 can unfold 2 seats each and sleep in a horizontal position. I was traveling with only 2 passengers until about 11 p.m. When we stopped at the station, someone got in the train and sat right in front of me. So I ended up sleeping seated. Luckily, I had my big backpack on the seat next to me, so I could sort of lay my upper body on it. If you're traveling in a group, there is the possibility to reserve the whole cabin to yourself for an extra fee. So you arrived at the departure station and now see the train there on the platform waiting for you. How does the experience look like? After making sure that it's the right train by checking the train number, destination, and exact time of departure, you should locate the right carriage for you. Not the sleeper, not the couchette, but the seat car. Sometimes there is a member of the staff, some other times you can simply jump in the seat car and start looking for your seat number. There's plenty of shelf space for your luggage, hooks for your jacket, and mirrors to check yourself out. There's a sliding door you can use to close the cabin. You can't lock it, but it does a great job at isolating noises. On top of the door, there are controls for heating, announcement speaker volume, and cabin light. If you need more privacy, you can close the curtain too. I found the seats to be very comfortable. There's a thick and soft armrest, and you can easily adjust the headrest to your height. There are 2 electric plugs per cabin, garbage bin, and if you're sitting at the window, you can pull out a very convenient tray that you can adjust on 2 different positions. It's great for laptop work or writing. Speaking of writing, handwriting, I did quite a bit of it during my trip. I wasn't sure I could manage because I imagined the journey to be quite bumpy. In order to let you understand how quiet, silent, and smooth this train was while moving, imagine that I spent a few hours handwriting on my notebook as if I was sitting at the table at home. No disturbance of movement whatsoever. The smoothness of movement was so incredibly pleasurable for me. In general, despite not being able to unfold the seat as I hoped, the whole journey has been absolutely comfortable, pleasant, and relaxing for me. The train was clean enough. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I did have breadcrumbs on my seat and there was way too much dust collected in the folding part of the seat. But it was definitely decent. The bathrooms, 2 per carriage, were really nothing fancy, just your usual train bathrooms, but they had good water pressure and soap, and that's good enough for me. Don't ask me about the restaurant because I prepared all my meals this time, so I didn't even try to take a look at it. The only comparison I can make with another train is with the Amtrak Coast Starlight in the United States of America. I took this train in the spring 2022 from Oakland, California to Portland, Oregon. Both these journeys have been about 1,000 kilometers long. Both have been overnight and both in the seated carriage. I have to say that Amtrak seats definitely beat the ÖBB seats because they are all foldable and super comfortable. As per usual in North America, you have plenty of space to lay down and stretch your legs. And each passenger has their own dedicated electric socket. Plus, in the Coast Starlight, there was a communal car with bigger windows where you could just go sit and look at the landscape, which gave a nice diversity to the trip. Not needed, but a nice extra. The other difference between the Nightjet and the Coast Starlight is the price. And to be honest, for me personally, this is the most interesting point. As I said, the 2 trips were comparable in length, about 1,000 kilometers each, and duration, the European being 15 hours long, the American being 18 hours long. The price of the Nightjet starts at 29 euros, while the Coast Starlight starts at $99 equivalent to 90 euros. This is why I would personally always choose a Nightjet over a Coast Starlight at 1/3 of the price for just a little less comfort. Lastly, some info about the stops and the pace of the train. This is a pretty slow train. At every border we crossed 4 countries, the train stopped for 1 hour or even more. If this happens during the day, to me the Germany-Poland one happened exactly at sunset, I suggest you to take a walk in the town out of the station. To me personally, the 40 minutes walk in Frankfurt an der Oder has been a real gem. If you do so, don't forget to take your luggage with you, or at least your valuables. Speaking of valuables, since you cannot lock your cabin, keep them on you at every time, especially while you sleep. If you can unfold all the seats in your cabin, you can hide your bags underneath the seats. I was expecting a printed timetable to be hanging at the door of the car, but there was none. So I recommend to download the ÖBB app to have the whole complete travel plan. In my case, the train has been perfectly on time throughout the whole journey till the final destination.